Welcome geniuses, I'm Genie, your best buddy for A-levels. In this channel, we'll bring you to explore the secret formula behind success.
Okay, let's move on. So we move on to a more macro perspective to understand like other macroeconomic concepts using PPC. Okay, after understanding the basic of PPC, understanding how using PPC we can show scarcity, we can show choices, we can show specialization, and we can show opportunity costs. Now, there's one important point that we all need to take note while learning PPC. When you are given a PPC curve like this, like what you see on the screen, without any thought or without any point given, you can't tell what is the actual situation in the country or what is the actual output of the country, what is the actual output of the firms. You are only told about this is the firm's PPC, this is the firm's productive capacity, but you are not told how much the firm is producing unless you are given a point or unless you are given a thought. So that is the fourth thing that I want you to take note. So a point has to be given to identify the country actual output. So, for example, when you are given a point A, for example, when you are given a point B, when you are given a point like this, then you can tell what is the country's actual situation now. So, for example, point A, country is producing this amount of capital goods, let's say 50 and 20 units of consumer goods. And if you look at this PPC diagram, the country can actually utilize their resources to produce more of both goods. So for example, 80 and 70. Therefore, point A indicates a situation called unemployment, which means resources are not fully utilized. You can produce more, but you didn't fully utilize your resources. Okay. Likewise, point B or any point on PPC, okay, it shows something called full employment. You are fully utilizing your resources. So I repeat, yeah, any point on PPC, so no matter this point, this point, this point, as long as it is on the PPC itself, it shows full employment. You are now fully utilizing all your available resources. But then any point below PPC will indicate unemployment, as in you are not fully utilizing your resources. Okay, number 5. PPC can be used to compare, can be used to contrast or show actual growth or potential growth. Okay, so now actual growth refers to a rise in GDP, gross domestic product, meaning that a rise in total output, which means the country actually producing more of both goods. So actual growth can be shown. Remember point number 4, you need a point to indicate where are you now. You need a point to indicate what are the countries producing now. So let's say this is in 2018, the country is producing this amount of good X, consumer goods, good Y, capital goods, for example. And in 2019, the country moved to this point. So it shows that in 2019, the country is producing more of both goods. So this is how we use PPC to show actual growth. So we also call it the country has achieved economic growth, okay, short run economic growth. Whereby potential growth happen when the country has a rise in productive capacity or productive potential. Therefore, like during our first point, we mentioned that the curve itself shows the country's productive capacity, right? So if the country has higher productive capacity, meaning that the entire curve shifts outward. Okay, and remember just now we mentioned that the productive capacity is constrained by quality and quantity of resources. Therefore, for the country to move from PPC1 to PPC2, there can be many reasons, and the reason ultimately bound down to change in quality and quantity. So maybe if there is change in quantity of resources, maybe like you have discovered more resources, maybe you have rising population, and change in quality of resources can happen when you educate and train your worker. Okay, you make your worker more productive. Or maybe the company or the country is now using advanced technology. So advancement in technology. These are the possible reasons for rising productive capacity, which means shifting your PPC outwards, making the country being able to produce more of both goods now. Moving on, we can use PPC, different shapes of PPC to indicate increasing opportunity cost or constant opportunity cost. This is to contrast what is meant by increasing opportunity cost, what is meant by constant opportunity cost. Okay, first of all, we might need to define a little bit what is meant by increasing opportunity cost. Increasing opportunity cost refers to a situation when more of one good given out for extra unit of another good produced. Okay, if you find this way of elaboration confusing, what you can do is you can put more of good Y given out for extra unit of good X produced. So this is another way for you to explain what is meant by increasing opportunity cost. Okay, now let's look at the diagram, yeah? When your PPC curve is bound outward from its origin, it shows increasing opportunity cost. So this is good Y, sorry, this is good X, and this is good Y. So I said when more of good Y given up for extra unit of good X, right? So what you can do is now you can do it this way. Originally, you are producing 1 unit of good Y, good X with, let's say, 15 unit of good Y. And initially, when you want to increase your output of good X by extra 1 unit, okay, from here to here, it shows the amount of good Y that you have to give up. Later on, when you want to increase the output of good X by another 1 unit from, let's say, 10 to 11, you will realize that now more of good Y is given up to increase good X by another 1 unit. So this is what we call increasing opportunity cost. Okay, you can see that this is your initial opportunity cost. Okay, and later on, you need to give up this much of Y for extra unit of X. Okay, so that is what we call increasing opportunity cost. And now, if we move on, if you look at constant opportunity cost, by definition is you can put constant or same unit of good Y is given up for extra unit of good X produced. You can put it in another way, as in firms are giving out constant amount of good Y for every unit of good X produced, also can. So if you want to show constant opportunity cost, your PPC curve is a straight line now. Okay, so here being good X and here being good Y. And what is meant by constant opportunity cost? Likewise, you need to do just like how we show increasing opportunity cost. So originally, you are increasing, it has to be dotted line, yeah? Okay, originally you are increasing the output of X by 1 unit. This is the amount of good Y that you give up. Later on, you are increasing the output of good X by another 1 unit, and you will realize that you are giving up same amount of good Y for extra unit of good X. This is what we call constant opportunity cost. And this is how we can use PPC to show constant and increasing opportunity cost. Anyhow, in our syllabus, we don't really need to understand what is meant by decreasing opportunity cost. It's just that when you come to A2, you will see similar concept, but then being used to show decreasing opportunity cost. So you can, based on your imagination, since increasing opportunity cost, the PPC bound outward from its origin, constant is a straight line, and therefore we can actually take a guess where decreasing opportunity cost diagram will be this way. So let's see, yeah. Originally, you are producing 1 extra unit of good X. This is the amount of good Y that you give up. And later on, if you are to produce 1 extra unit of X, this is the amount of Y that you give up. Therefore, you see, this is your first opportunity cost. This is your later opportunity cost. You are giving up lesser and lesser amount of Y for every extra unit of good X produced. That is what we call it decreasing opportunity cost.
That's all for today's video. If you're interested in more genuine sharing by other geniuses, please subscribe to our channel and don't forget to turn on the notification bell, ding dong. Also, if you're struggling with 1 or 2 past year questions and the mark scheme just doesn't seem to help, Genie has got you covered. Feel free to let us know what question it is by filling in the Google form linked in the description below. Genius Hub will get genius teachers to fulfill your request for the solution. Genie, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.